Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am not here with Geeky Sparkles, but she will be back later today. And I do apologize for not having videos yesterday. I actually have a spinal injury, and I have for a good number of years, and it was acting up yesterday and sitting hurt. So I didn't feel like making any videos. Instead, I watched Evangelion 30.10.2.5. Whatever, the fourth Evangelion movie, and it was okay. It felt like we actually got an ending, but it was another convoluted mess of exposition and Kingdom Hearts-esque kind of like, here's the door to the thing and the key and the spears and the plan and the anyway, that's what we were doing yesterday. Apologize for that, but we're going to talk about Tumblr today because a lot of you are looking for ways to monetize your artwork, and we've been talking a lot about these platforms charging for content now, and now Tumblr is jumping on the bandwagon, but it's not going well at all. There's going to be a lot of pushback, and Tumblr, we joked, we said that they're going to be dead after they took the porn off, and apparently Tumblr kind of made a resurgence. I mean, we talked in another video that Tumblr sold for over $1 billion at one point, and then they sold them to WordPress, and they only sold for $3 million. Like, an individual could have cut a check and bought all of Tumblr, and now they're trying to do Tumblr Plus, Tumblr Post Plus. Everybody's doing a Post Plus now, paying for content. It's almost like drugs, right? It's like the internet's been free and open for 20, 30 years now. Now you got to pay to see people's social media. I mean, it's probably good for creators, I guess, if people are willing to pay, but we found that it's very hard to put the genie back in the bottle. Once you've been giving content away for free, it's very hard to get people to pay for your content. Usually it only works if it's lewd content. In this case, we're going to talk about artwork, though, because there is a very sticky situation. Yeah, think of your own jokes, whatever. Sticky situation with that because, a lot of people do fan art of copyrighted characters, and we run into a problem there. So we're going to talk about it. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 231,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. Greatly appreciated. We don't have Clownfish Plus yet. We've talked about it. We've talked about doing like a Clownfish Plus club. We tried doing kind of our own support system through the website at one point to bypass Patreon, but it didn't really take off. But that was years ago. I mean, I don't know. People ask us if we want to do Subscribe Star or anything like that, and so far we definitely haven't needed to. I would love to be able to do more, art content and, maybe some podcast content or something. I don't know. We've talked about this. We've had this discussion, especially when we're talking about, Substack and talking about all these companies now that are trying to, I guess, add to the creator economy. Now, before we get into talking about Tumblr, OnlyFans put this tweet out yesterday. They got blasted. This is just ridiculous. Dear sex workers, dear sex worker, the OnlyFans community would not be what it is today without you. The policy change was necessary to secure banking and payment services to support you. We're doing it for you. We're doing it for your own good. We're working around the clock to come up with solutions. Sex work is work, says OnlyFans. It just ditched all of its sexual content, I guess, other than tasteful nudes. They built their platform on sexual content, and they basically kicked all these sex workers to the curb and said, hey, we're doing this for you guys. We're doing this for your own benefit. And they're not having it. MasterCard apparently made an official statement saying they did not ask for the policy change. I'm telling you, what's going on here is they're looking for venture capital. Well, I've heard two things. I've heard one is that OnlyFans is looking for venture capital, and the VC companies they're looking at won't give them money because of the content on the platform, which is like, well, that's literally what they do, 75% of it. And the other one is that people were doing illegal things, filming illegal acts on OnlyFans. Don't want to get into detail, but I don't know if I can talk about it on YouTube. But yeah, they're apparently that's what I've heard. I can't verify, but people were doing really illegal things and filming it and charging people for it, and they did not want to be involved in that. I've heard that too. Whatever the case. Good luck to OnlyFans, I guess, because you just told your audience to go F themselves. They just can't use your platform to do it. So let's go back to the other debacle. And this seems like, every time a platform that has offered content for free wants to start charging, everybody loses their shit. In this case, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when Tumblr is built on so much copyrighted content. So it's coming from Slate, and I'm going to go out and talk about The Beat too, because they covered it, because so many comic book people are using Tumblr or have used Tumblr in the past. Is Tumblr about to get all of its creators sued? Coming from Slate. The platform wants to help users make money, but the legal system might have other plans for them. So right now, Tumblr is, as Tumblr often is mad. We'll wait until they start rolling out more of the paid features on Twitter. You will see a massive meltdown on Twitter. While the microblogging social media platform's community is historically resistant to most kinds of change, this latest kerfuffle is about a bigger change than a new website layout or an unpopular sponsored content post. It's about money and the legal issues that might be tangled up in it. So at the end of July, Tumblr announced a subscription program called Post Plus, which will allow Tumblr users to lock their posts behind paywalls, available only to those willing to pony up the cash to see it. It's a tier, probably won't be porn. It's a tier-based system that gives content creators an opportunity to both monetize their work on this otherwise free-to-use platform, while also offering special exclusives to subscribers. Think of it like Patreon, but on Tumblr. And YouTube's doing that too, with community memberships and stuff like that. But the frustrating thing about it, and thank you to those of you who are members, by the way. I think we have about 100 members. And there is some, every once in a while we'll put posts up or something like that. We're thinking about maybe the live streams, putting the whole live stream behind a paywall. I don't know what we're going to do yet, but what we worry about is putting all of our content on one platform and having our support system on one platform, and then having, for whatever reason, that platform go belly up, or we get booted. If our support system is solely on YouTube, and then for whatever reason we lose our channel, and YouTube, anymore, it's ridiculously easy to lose your channel for infractions you're not even aware of. If that happens, then we don't have a backup. However, if we had some kind of membership program someplace else, on another platform, it's like, well, the YouTube channel's down, then we'll just ramp up the content over here. So I don't know. That's something we've talked about, but I see why people want to spread themselves out a little bit more. So part of why this is less a feature drop and more of a fundamental shakeup is that, unlike Instagram or TikTok, Tumblr popularity comes with a few off-platform benefits. The introduction of Post Plus signaled a change to that dynamic, one that was almost immediately met with backlash from the platform's user base. On August 6th, users went on strike to protest Post Plus, with one of the main criticisms being that the new subscription tool could expose fan work creators to legal trouble. For 24 hours, the users logged off the platform, 12 of them there left, in the hopes of denying the site a meaningful amount of ad revenue. If Tumblr really wanted their money, they said, Post Plus was not the right way to get it. Fan works such as fanfic and fan art, by definition, use characters and content from other published works. Creators are usually protected from legal action by copyright holders due to the concept of fair use. The definition of fair use, which means that the usage doesn't constitute copyright or copyright infringement, is pretty flexible, and the legal world is continuing to feel out boundaries regarding digital works in particular. One of the main factors that courts use to determine fair use is whether the work is transformative, thus differentiating it from the original work, which most fan works are. And when money is involved, things get more complicated. Yeah, this is kind of the same deal with comic book conventions and fan art. I think it's one thing to charge someone for a one-off commission in a convention. If you want to draw Venom or Batgirl or whatever it is, okay, because that's a one-of-a-kind piece of fan art, versus mass-producing prints. It gets really sticky because at that point you're basically creating merchandise, bootleg merchandise, mass produced. And it gets even stickier when fan artists, might actually work for the company Marvel or DC, and they start producing books of their fan art, because at that point you're publishing, other people's characters, and it gets really, really tricky. And I do think at some point that conventions are really going to crack down on this. They've been more so in recent years, but I think they're going to crack down and be like, yeah, you can't be selling prints. And there are vendors out there that sell prints. There are vendors out there that sell prints of other people's stuff. They're just going and finding artwork on the internet, and they're mass producing prints that they quote unquote drew. And they didn't, and they're selling it as their own stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you're selling a bunch of Deadpool prints, you don't own Deadpool. Marvel could absolutely come in and say, hey, unless you have a deal worked out with them. I know in the case of like Disney artists, you can work out a deal with them to be able to sell, for part of the profits. But, in the case of Deadpool or something like that, you're just doing a bunch of Deadpool pinups, and they're gonna be like, well, how many cons did you do, and how many of these pinups did you sell? How many prints did you sell? How much money is that? How much did we lose? And they don't go after the small fries. Usually they go after the big vendors. And there are huge vendors. They do every damn show, and you see this like wall of prints. So I think that at some point, don't know when, it depends on if it's worth the time and effort to do it. At some point, I think that's going to end. Anyway, back to Tumblr. With Post Plus users asking users to spend actual money on the stories and illustrations they reblog, some Tumblr users believe that the service could open them up to legal repercussions. Their thinking stems from the belief that, as a piece by Fanfare explains, a work is only transformative if it does not affect the potential market for the original work and is either a complete reimagining using the basic concepts, or if the original or a direct satire. While creators ask for cash, is that affecting the commercial market? Disgruntled Tumblrites argue yes. So they're basically saying if you're doing fanfic, you could actually open yourself up to a lawsuit since you're exchanging money at this point. To find out whether Tumblr is actually opening up the vast network of fandoms that use the platform to legal issues, in case you missed it, Slate's Internet Culture Podcast reached out to 5 different legal experts. For the most part, what they had to say to Tumblr users was, don't freak out about getting sued by corporations for your Steve Rogers fan art or Once Upon a Time fan fiction. You've got a fairly good First Amendment protection based on the argument that your posts are considered expressive or artistic works about Disney characters, says Alexandra Roberts, a law professor at the University of New Hampshire. Folks who see your posts on Tumblr aren't going to be confused as to your source or permission. Here we have Cristiela Garcia. Feels even more strongly that Tumblr users will be safe under Post Plus. This backlash against the feature may have merit on content wants to be free grounds, but it has no basis in copyright law. This is kind of like YouTube. I mean, there are a lot of YouTubers out there that comment or create videos, especially in the cartoon YouTube community, that do videos or commentary videos about IP. Now, it can be argued that it's transformative for sure because they're doing commentary and they're only using clips of shows. But there are some, I've seen some that are like really, like they're putting 3/4 of the movie or short into their commentary, and I'm kind of like, I'm really surprised the rights holder hasn't gone after them. But I think their view, at least I know in Disney's case, is we can't get blood out of a stone. These creators don't have enough money to be worth our time, and they're not really like mass producing stuff. So, in that case, a lot of times they don't really do it. They don't really waste their time. It's case by case basis. So even if no one thinks your Legolas-themed Tumblr account is an official Lord of the Rings blog, another argument against Post Plus could be this. Many content creators become popular for their GIF sets, which essentially recreate a popular scene from a show or movie through animated frames. If those end up behind a paywall, says Heidi Howard Tandy of the firm Berger Singerman, that could introduce some issues. Yeah, because at that point they're going to say, hey, you've got movie clips and you're charging people for clips of our movies. If there's no minimal or no transformative aspects to the follow-up work, then commercializing something, whether it's on Tumblr or Patreon or Kickstarter, can increase one's financial liability if the copyright owner sues. Example, GIFs that have to show dialogue on them are not necessarily transformative, but a set of fans in cosplay acting out a missing scene from a show or film likely would be. So if you do like a little animation or something, and that's something you did, and it's clearly supposed to be an established character, I think you're probably safe. But yeah, if you're just ripping clips from movies, you could be in trouble. The onus is ultimately on the copyright owners to take action against creators whose work is derived from their properties, said law professor Kathy Y.N. Smith. Paywalls could attract the attention of copyright owners and potentially encourage copyright owners to more aggressively police and protect unauthorized derivatives or reproductions. Instead of putting up a fight, if Disney comes knocking, it's often easier and cheaper for smaller creators to just remove their works instead of going against the large corporate copyright owners such as Marvel or HBO. And we've seen Disney a lot of times. What they'll do is, we did a video on this on the Loki t-shirts. They'll actually look for ideas on Etsy or something like that, and they'll knock off the knockoff. But their grounds is you were creating something that was based on our IP, so we're well within our legal rights to take your idea too. And that's kind of the justification for it. The right thing to do would be like, hey, we like your idea. Could we make it official? Here's a check. Thanks for doing that really cute little chibi version of our character. It's really cool. We think it's going to sell. We'll pay you for it. And then, we own that concept. But that's not how they do it. That's not how they do it. Sometimes a little anxiety could be a good thing. Well, yeah, I think people have gotten really lax with the fan art and all of that. So yeah, Comics Beat, they had an article on it. They said that Tumblr users were predictably outraged by the news because Tumblr has been an entirely free site for a long time, and also because every idea of Tumblr's is bad and doesn't turn out well. I still can't go through my likes in chronological order after their Dash update, despite them saying the feature would be returning soon. About a year or so ago, it might have been longer. The passage of time has been obliterated. Yeah, pandemic. It's like, I don't know what year we're on. This won't kill Tumblr. Likely because it won't get past the beta stage. It can't kill Tumblr because Tumblr is like a cockroach and it always comes back. I don't know why. Kill Tumblr post plus, but long live Tumblr. May it never die. May it never die. Yeah, so it's going to change things for sure, but I'm really surprised that anyone would put all their eggs into a basket on another platform, and certainly all their eggs into content that they don't own. At the end of the day, my advice to you would be to get popular with your own stuff. Make your own creations. Make your own characters. Make cute stuff that's, maybe inspired by things that you like, but isn't actually derivative of existing IP. And you're probably going to be in a better place all the way around because, at the end of the day, you can sell that stuff. You can get the copyright to it, you can get the trademark to it, and you can sell it. But if you're, making money off other people's stuff, it's not going to end well for a lot of people. So we're going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. And we'll talk later.